Next, we move on to the contents of the research report. So our research report can be divided into 3 parts. The first one is the preliminary section, second one is the main body, and the third one is the end matter. Moving to the first one, that is the preliminary section. In the preliminary section, that is the introductory section, we can say, this section will have the title page. The title page, it means it will include the investigator's name, a statement about the course for which he have done this particular research, then the date of submission, the title of the research. All such things will be there in this title page. Then the next page, the very next page will be the acknowledgement page, wherein the investigator will acknowledge his guides or the ones who have given him guidance, the ones who have assisted him, and all such persons will be acknowledged in this page. Then the third page will be the preface or the foreword. This preface page will bear some initial remarks and a brief statement of the scope, aim, and the general character of this research. Next, we'll have the table of contents. A well-developed table of content render a good deal of assistance to the reader in choosing rapidly and judiciously what he should subsequently read carefully. It should read the chapter headings, the headings of major subdivisions of the chapters, and even subdivisions. We will also have the list of tables and figures. That is the list of all the tables and figures that have been used throughout this thesis will be recorded in this table. This is all about the preliminary section. Then we move on to the main body. In the main body, at first, we'll have an introduction. Usually, every thesis starts with an introduction. It will specify the context of the study. So it is the first part or the main body of the main body. Then it will usually include a statement of the factors leading up to the choice of the problem, the purpose of the study, the value and significance attached to the problem. Introduction should be prescribed. The introduction should prescribe the problem in hand. The problem should be started in a clear-cut and logical manner so that the reader can get a sufficient insight at the very first beginning itself. Also, the problem should be defined in detail. The exact area of investigation should be demarked. The source of information should be mentioned. Technical terms used in the report should be defined carefully in the introduction section. Then the next one is the methodology part. The methodology part will contain the following things, that is the objective, the hypothesis, the research design, the universe and the sample, the sources of data, then the survey of related literature, the techniques of presentation, analysis and interpretation of the data. All these details we have learned in detail throughout the year. So I hope you are clear about all these terms. The next part, we'll be going to the statement of findings. That is, the findings are the results of the study. The findings, they tell us what the study was about, what was the result of the study. All these things are included in the statement of findings. All the relevant results must be mentioned in the findings. Then the next part is the conclusion and recommendation part. The conclusion should be drawn with direct reference to the objective of the study. So it is based on the objectives that we write our conclusion. The researcher in this part of the report must be specific with reference to the hypothesis formulated by him. He has to indicate whether the hypothesis has been accepted or rejected. In his conclusion, the researcher has to indicate the contribution to his field of study. He should indicate the data on which various conclusions are based. He should clearly demarcate between inevitable conclusion and his own interpretation of certain idea. Also, he should make recommendations and suggestions based on the conclusion or based on his study in the chapter of conclusion. Then the summary of the report. A report is to contain a summary to the whole report also. This will help the reader to understand the content of the report very quickly. The summary should be prepared only after the full report has been written. Next, we move to the end section, the third part of the research report, that is the end section, or we can also call it as reference section. Now, in the end section, we'll have 4 items mainly. The first one is appendix, next one is glossary, then the literature cited and bibliography. Now, the appendix includes letters, questionnaires, tests, or other tools that is used for collection of data. All these things will come under the appendix. Then the glossary. It is an alphabetical listing of unfamiliar terms with their meanings, which is again used in our research. Then the literature cited. This is the list of references cited in the text. This literature cited is generally arranged in the order in which the references are indicated in the text. And the purpose of this literature cited is to acknowledge the source of a quotation or a paraphrase or idea borrowed by the author from someone else. And finally, we will have the bibliography. A bibliography is a comprehensive listing of the works relevant to the study of the researcher. The bibliography includes all references to related materials. It furnishes a clue to the quality of the research report. The reference in the bibliography are arranged in alphabetical order and sometimes by topic, sometimes by geographical location or by some other plants. Now, I'll take you through sample for a research report which is already published in Shodh Ganga. Yeah, here we can see the title PDF, the title section. Yeah, see this here we have the impact of behavioral bias on individual investor behavior, a study of equity share investors in Surat. This is the title and submitted to this university by Kruti P. Bhatt under the guidance of Dr. Manish V. Sivpura. So this is the title page of a research report. Then we have the certificate page. Okay. Yeah, this is the certificate. That is, this person has done the certificate by the guide. Then we have the preliminary pages, which we already seen. Declaration that he has done this research. Then acknowledgement page. See, it has written that completion of this thesis required unconditional support and encouragement from many people, and thereby he is thanking all these people. It is shown the acknowledgement page. Then the list of contents. So whatever is there in the report is properly arranged with page numbers in this content section. Okay, so title and all these things have been written here. Okay, then the executive summary. Sometimes if it is done for some professional works, then we will have to add an executive summary also. This I can include it. Then the list of tables. So here we can see that if you go through the thesis, you will see many tables and figures which is mentioned in this particular section. So distribution of respondents based on education, this is shown in table 4.3, and so on. You can go for referring it. This is the list of tables and these are the list of figures. Okay, that's all. Again, we'll go to chapter 1. That is again after the preliminaries, then the main body. So main body, chapter 1 is introduction. Here we have the introduction page. He have written the basic concept of what he is planning, the definitions, and a brief history of the investor bias and all those things have been written to give an introduction about the topic. Has been written here. Okay. So this is this introduction part. Then we can see his chapter 2, which is the review of literature, the methodology. It comes in the methodology. So we have written all the review of literatures. This, okay, you can see all the literature reviews. So if we can see here, this Thaler 1999, which means this person has written this, he's the author, and this article was published in the year 1999. In this article he have mentioned this thing, that is what, and if you go for the reference page, this will be there where you can identify from where this person has quoted this particular idea. So same way he'll have all the reviews of literature. Then the next page is the research methodology that he will be following. The problem stating the problem, what exactly the problem is. Then the next section is the research question. What are the research questions? It's being mentioned here. The objectives of the study: to identify the most prominent bias in Indian context, to make demographic profile of investors influenced by each bias, to analyze whether there is any association between biasness and the investors. Okay. So again the main definitions and all. Then the research design. So we have already went through the various research designs, and yeah, he says that in this particular research he is following a two-phase design. First phase is expert opinion method, list down the biases. In the second phase he is using a survey to examine the measure the behavioral biases. Then variables under study. These are the variables he have studied, and its definitions are all given here. Okay. Then biases included in the study are these 5 biases based on opinion.